video is the continuation of our discussion in the official rules of softball. So last two videos, we discussed the rule number 1 to rule number 4 and rule number 5 to rule number 8. And for today's video, i-discuss naman natin yung rule number 9 to rule number 12. So let's start with rule number 9, dead ball, ball and play. So there are 3 sections in rule number 9. So let's start with section 1, the ball is dead. So when we say the ball is dead, in play in the following circumstances. A, when the ball is batted illegally. So B, when the batter steps from the box to another. When the pitcher is fast pitch only taking the signal or appears to be taking the signal from the pitcher's plate, or slow pitch only steps on the pitching plate. So that is section 1. So let's move on to section 2. The ball is in play. So when we say the ball is in play, the following circumstances: A, at the start of the game and each half inning, when the pitcher has the illegal or the pitcher has the ball while standing in his pitching position and the plate umpire has called play ball. So that is section 2. Section 3, the last section for rule number 9, delayed dead ball. So when we say delayed dead ball, there are 5 situations when a violation of the rule occurs. An umpire recognizes it and the ball remains live until the conclusion of the play. This situation are: A, an illegal pitch, B, catcher's obstruction, C, fast pitch only, the plate umpire inference, and D, obstructions, detached equipment contacting a thrown ball or a fair batted ball. So that is rule number 9, dead ball, ball and play. So let's move on to rule number 10, the umpires. So rule number 10 composed of 8 sections. So section 1, power and duties. When we say power and duties, the umpires are the representatives of the league or organization by which they have been assigned to a particular game, and as such are authorized and required to enforce each section of these rules. So that is section 1. Section 2, the plate umpire. The plate umpire shall take a position in back of the catcher. He shall have full charge of and be responsible for the proper conduct of the game. So that is section 2. Let's move on to section 3, the base umpire. When we say base umpire, shall take such position on the playing field as required in accordance with the relevant umpire systems, and shall assist the plate umpire in every way to enforce the rules of the game. Section 4, the responsibilities of a single umpire. So, if only one umpire is assigned, his duties, his jurisdiction shall extend to all points. The umpire's starting position for each pitch shall be from behind home plate. So that is section 4. Let's move on to section 5, change of umpires. When we say change of umpires, umpire cannot be changed during a game by the consent of the opposing teams unless an umpire is incapacitated by injury or illness. So that is section 6. So section 7, signals. To indicate that play shall begin or to be resumed, the umpire shall call play ball and at the same time motion the pitcher to deliver the ball. So that is section 7, signals. So let's move on to section 8, suspension of play. So when we say suspension of play, an umpire may suspend play when in his judgment conditions justify such actions. So that's end for rule number 10, the umpires. So let's move on to rule number 11, protest. So rule number 11 11 is composed of 7 sections. So let's start with section 1, protests that will not be received. So protests shall not be received or considered if they are based solely on a decision involving the accuracy of judgment on the part of an umpire, or if the team lodging the protest won the game. So that is section 1. So let's move on to section 2, protests that will be received. Protests that shall be received and considered include matters of the following types: A. Misinterpretation of the playing rule. B. Failure of an umpire to apply the correct rule to a given situation. Or C. Failure to impose the correct penalty for a given violation. So that is section 2. Let's move on to section 3, protests involving judgment and interpretation of rule. Protests may be involved both a matter of judgment and interpretation of the rule. So, section 4, notification of intent to lodge protest. The notification of intent to protest must be made immediately before the next pitch. So, that is section 4. Let's move on to section 5, time to lodge an official protest. So, the official written protest must be filled within a reasonable time. So, section 8, information required for written protest. The formal written protest should contain the following information: the date, time, place of the game, the names of the umpires and scorers, the rule and section of the official rules or local rules under which the protest is made. So, section 7, result of protest. So, the decision made on the protest game must result in one of the following: A. The protest is found invalid and the game score stands as played. B. When a protest is allowed for misinterpretation of a playing rule, the game is replaced or replayed rather from the point at which the incorrect decision was made within decision corrected. So, that is the end of the rule number 11, protest. Let's move on to rule number 12, scoring. So, scoring or rule number 12 is composed of 10 sections. So, let's start with section 1, the official scorer. So, the official scorer shall keep records of each game as outlined in the following rules. And B shall have the sole of authority to make all decisions involving judgment. So, section 2, the box score. Each player name and the position or positions to be played shall be listed in order in which he batted or would have batted unless the player is legally substituted, ejected, or removed from the game, or the game ends before his turn at bat. So that is section 2, the box score. Let's move on to section 3. Base hit shall not be recorded. A base hit shall not be recorded in the following cases: A. When a runner is forced out by a batted ball or would have been forced out, except for a fielder error. So, section 4, sacrifice fly balls. A sacrifice fly is recorded when with less than 2 outs. A batter scores a runner with a play or a fly ball which is caught, or the ball or the line's drive handled by outfielder or infielder runner in the outfield is dropped and runner scores. And in the scorer's judgment, the runner could have scored after each had a fly ball with or been caught. So, section 5, runs batted in. So, when we say runs batted in, a run batted in is a run scored because of one of the following reasons. So, A, a safe hit. B, a sacrifice bunt or slap hit. Fast pitch only or sacrifice fly. Fast pitch only and slow pitch. And C, foul fly caught. Let's move on to section 6, pitcher credited with a win. So a pitcher shall be credited with a win in the following situation. So A, when he is starting pitcher and has pitched at least 4 innings and his team was not only in the lead when he is replaced but remains in the lead of the remainder of the game. So that is section 6, pitcher credited with a win. So let's move on to section 7, pitcher charged with a lose. So a pitcher shall be charged with a lose regardless of the number of innings he has pitched if he is replaced when his team is behind in the score and his team thereafter fails to beat the score or to tie the score or gain the lead. So that is section 7, pitcher charged with a lose. So let's move on to section 8, game summary. So the summary shall list the following items in this order: the score by innings and the final score, the runs batted in and by whom hit, 2 base hits and by whom hit, 3 base hits and by whom hit, home runs and by whom hit, sacrifice flies, double plays, triple plays, number of walks given by each pitcher. So that is section 8, game summary. So let's move on to section 9, stolen bases. So fast pitch only stolen bases are credited to a runner whenever he advances 1 base unaided by a hit, a put out, an error, a force out, a fielder's choice, a passed ball, a wild pitch, or an illegal pitch. So that is section 9, stolen bases. So let's move on to the last section of rule number 12, section 10, records of forfeited games. So when we say records of forfeited games, all records of forfeited games shall be included in the official records, except that of pitchers won-loss record. So that's end our discussion for the official rules of softball, the rule number 1 to rule number 12. Thank you for watching.